I don't think I've seen Brandon in the chat.
I wonder if I can stick this guy on my shoulder for a
Oh,
while.
he's cute. Is that Indiana Jones?
It is a little indie.
Oh, little Indy.
Little Indy.
Our little Indy never seems to want to join us in
No.
here, which is funny because he's usually always kind of everywhere.
Well, hey, everybody.
Cute. Hello, we're back. The three of us are here. That's it.
And we're here. Sure.
We're here, and we're not square. We're live.
To be fair, if there are any people out there that are square, they would in fact be us.
That's fair, I guess. Yeah.
No, we're cool.
Yeah, we're
cool people.
We're
Square's
rad.
cool. Square's hip.
We're neat.
Hip to be square. Are you, Huey?
Yeah.
What did we do last time? Oh, it was a high in the sky.
It was high in the
is what we
sky.
did last time.
I was dying, so I wasn't here.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's where you were. You were sick
That was a rough couple of days.
and not feeling
Okay,
good.
go lie down. Go lie
Speaking
down. We can do this all
of
episode.
our schedule, then okay. So what day is today?
right.
What day is today?
It's the ninth.
Okay, no. Our next episode should be the 23rd.
And then the
We're
ninth.
here.
And then the ninth.
It'll be just you.
So we're gonna
Or-
have to push it.
Or, because that's 10 p.m. Prague time.
No. So we might move the 9th episode to the 16th.
I mean, we can show up late to the Planetarium on the 10th, right?
Which means that probably
Probably.
maybe next podcast we need to record some more shots so we have
Shots.
some that go on while you guys are all gallivanting in Prague.
Okay, so when's... Are we doing it on the 23rd and then on the
And then
30th?
on the 16th.
The 6th? We're doing
And
it
I
on the
may
16th?
be driving on the 16th, so I may not be available.
Oh my god, you're so difficult. So difficult.
Well, we
This
can do
high
it.
maintenance.
What we're saying is the next month's going to be... In
Hectic.
2 weeks will be fine, but after that, it'll be
I wonder if we could build like an AI avatar of Brandon and then pop it in whenever he's not there and just see how well it it does as Brandon.
But we could
God.
matrix it where he just
Glitches every now.
glitches every
Glitches now
once
and
in a
then. Yeah. Suddenly I have 2 heads on me, which I'm going to try to keep Indy here for a while. I'm going to see how this goes.
It's cute. It's cute. All right.
while. We need to get Indy. We need to get that Indy.
We'll let Brandon lead this show. You want to count down? We're frozen?
One
Oh no!
1 second.
Switching.
Color down.
Okay, we are connected to the internet.
Yay.
Not sending enough stream data. I don't even know what that means.
I
Like,
don't know. All I know is Brandon's frozen. With a weird look on his face.
oh, I wonder if that's because do we need to recall? It does look like really funny.
It looks like somebody
I
died.
wonder if it's because he should pop back up, I thought, if we reconnected on Skype.
Alright, well, is YouTube...
I'm just gonna recall him. There we go. We'll just call him again.
Yeah.
Oh wait. There we go. There he is.
Hi.
Okay.
I could hear you the whole time.
You have a 60 hertz buzz too. I don't know what that means, Jack.
Zzz. Sounds like a bee.
Settings. Alright, let me mess with OBS stream. Okay. I don't know what the streaming stuff is even supposed to like be. I don't know what the I wish you would tell me how to fix this. But I guess, are we, okay, but if you could see us, are we working again, or is it just is it still,
So my YouTube looks okay.
okay.
Alright, are you getting a buzz?
Not yet. I haven't started drinking.
Oh, well
Fair,
done.
fair.
Well done.
fair.
No, I don't have
60.
a buzz.
Alright, well, Karen, do you have a buzz?
Buzz?
That's just gonna be like a video feature
Okay.
anyway, so,
Yeah, fix in the post.
I don't even know how to fix it in post. Oh!
Okay, what happened?
Oh, I think I did something. And I think I fixed it. Maybe.
Okay, well, your mom's not getting it.
Uh,
Alright, you gotta stop You're gonna mess something up.
No,
You're gonna.
no,
It's that gene.
Okay,
It's
okay,
that
okay.
gene.
I'll stop with the too much gene. All right. Okay,
All
okay,
right.
all right. Ready, Brayden? Let's hit the show on the road
Give me
before
that
everything
goddamn
breaks down
countdown.
even more. And you're on in 5, 4.
Hello, fellow cosmos with cosmonauts. I guess. Sure.
No,
What can-
Oh.
no, let's redo that.
No,
Redo that.
No,
Let's redo that. You're right.
no.
Starting again
me the
in
countdown.
5, 4.
Hey everyone, welcome to Cosmos with Cosmos, episode 10 of season 6, where we talk about Aristotle.
Good old stats.
She's Liz.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm Liz.
He's Brandon.
And he's Mike.
Hey, look at us go. We are organized. We're ready to go. This will be a fun little episode.
Oh, boy.
So, of course, let's just get into it. What are we drinking? Liz.
I am drinking, since we are going to ancient times,
Yes.
I'm drinking one of the most ancient drinks there is. Beer.
Yeah.
Beer.
Oh, it's a nice thick beer, too. Good and
is,
dark.
This is a Guinness,
Oh.
which I asked Mike to get some Guinness because I never had Guinness before.
How do you like it?
And I do like it. I do like
Okay,
it. He got the one
okay.
that's the stout. That's like the creamier one, I guess.
Yeah. I gave her 2 options, never heard back. And so I just got the one I thought would work.
I didn't see it. I
She didn't see it.
So I didn't get a notification.
Guinnesses, or the plurals Guinness-I, are absolutely delightful.
I
And
know
I'm
it.
very happy you get to experience this for the first time.
Yes, yes. I've been enjoying it. So I'm a wait. Oh, I thought that was Katie for a second, and I was like, Katie, you don't love Guinness. You don't like dark beer, but I can see my mom liking Guinness because.
It's tasty.
Mike, what
yeah.
are you drinking?
I'm drinking what I'm calling it the ether. It looks like mud, but it was iced coffee with a little coffee liqueur and a
Chew.
pumpkin spice latte liqueur.
Yeah, it's really good.
So, are you saying this iced coffee has been corrupted? We'll get to that later.
Hey.
Yeah, but that's what I'm drinking.
All right, and I have the Fifth Element,
Hey.
which is also known as the Aether. So,
Or the multi-pass.
Montepas.
There's Mr. Frodo in the back.
Jack looks like Jack's got a cardamom cinnamon mocha.
Ooh.
Same color as my Guinness.
That's delightful.
I got coffee the other day, and I got what was called a spicy bee, which was like I can't remember everything in
God,
it, but it was like
that had
honey, and it had cayenne in it,
Nice.
and
Yeah, Liz comes up and goes,
It
"Hey,
was-
drink this," and
it was
then
a
I will
lot.
tell you what's in it.
it was a lot. My mom would have died.
Oh,
So before we get to the rules, because this guy's going to make us drink a lot, in the office, a bunch of us, we call ourselves a tea sluts, and we just get different teas.
Oh, nice.
And the most delightful tea right now is called it's a London Fog, but the Tower of London.
Ooh.
And it's so delightful. It's the right notes of flowery and some black tea in there too. It's so excellent.
nice.
Sounds good. I want to be in the tea club.
Tea slut.
A tea
Tea
slut?
please. Well, in any case, you can follow us in many different areas if you want to hear more about the Tea Slut Club, including the Blue Sky at Cosmos with Cosmos. Not going to mention the other place at this point.
Okay.
We got the Instagrams. We got mail. Give me your address. I will mail you things a couple weeks late, but they'll get there eventually. That can be fun.
A reverse
course-
mailbot, like a reverse where we're sending fans things
All right,
instead
Brandon,
of.
I'm giving you my address. I want to see what you send me.
Okay. There's a new Betty White stamp I'm very excited about, so be ready for that.
Okay.
Of course, don't forget to rate us on the things, whether you listen to it on iTunes, what have you. And of course, if you're listening to us live, join us for the Hangover on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
Likewise, we have a couple of people that are near and dear to us in this podcast, including Katie, who has great stuff on the Wildixia on Etsy. Go check that out.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Ron at the Real Mr. Proctor on YouTube. And, of course, Jack with the fabulous drinks, as always. You can find him at the Rolling Bluffs Planetarium.com. If you happen to be in the Council Bluffs, Iowa area, go check out his shows.
And I hear he'll make these drinks for you if you just show up.
Really?
Yeah, if you just show up, he'll make these drinks for you.
Actually, I think we're doing a deal. If you show them the leather you got from Cosmos to the Cosmos, he'll make you the drink.
Oh, right. I mean,
Jack's drink emporium.
Jack's
His
Drink Emporium.
Jack's artisanal drinks.
I just love how our listeners have embraced Cosmos and do things for people that come see them, and
Yeah.
like Jack making
Yeah.
drinks for them, and
It's great.
and Katie just making art for everybody.
It's a real community. Speaking of communities and art and drinks, we also have the other Cosmos. What do you want to call that? You can't call it a spin-off.
But the shot? A little
The shot. What do you call that?
mini-sodes?
A mini-sode. Yeah, the shot. So go check that out. We just had one, I believe, on Pluto's Kiss.
Pluto and
What
the
was it?
Kiss,
Pluto and the
yeah.
Kiss. Go
So
check
if
that
you're
out.
feeling a little lovey for Valentine's Day,
Hey, nice.
Oh, I didn't even think about that
Yeah,
one.
I know.
Yeah, that was nicely done. Liz knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
All right, so now for this episode, we have a few rules, including if you hear a puppy dog bark, take a drink. That will happen probably at least once. And I forgot I had little Indiana Jones here. If any of us make a Star Wars reference, take a drink. Lord of the Rings reference, take a drink. And any special rules today?
I don't have one.
I don't have one either.
No, I guess as always, if the Indiana Jones the cat makes an appearance, take a drink. It seems to be rare.
Or when Indiana falls.
Oh, if Indiana
That's
falls
probably gonna
off
happen.
of it.
When Indiana falls, take a drink.
Which y'all got Indy, like a couple months ago now.
October.
And Indy's shown up like once in the show.
I know, he's elusive. He's like the
He's like the Aether.
He's like the Bigfoot.
until he thinks it's time to eat. And then
Yeah,
he's
then it's
very
just-
vocal and in your face.
All right, so let's siphon that off and let's get into the meat of the show, where we talk about Aristotle. Because in so many episodes, we always bring up Aristotle, how much he fucked science over, fucked scientific theory over,
That
kind of
guy.
made people think certain ways for thousands of years before science could advance. So I thought, you know what? Let's just talk about the guy. See what he believed in, see what his thoughts were, see... Mike has thoughts already.
Well, he actually is a good guy. So, I mean, we shit on him. But
Constantly.
Is he a good guy? We don't know what his past social
well,
media posts were.
okay, no. He did have some bleak moments where something about slavery being, yeah, it's fine.
Well,
Well, we'll talk about that. We have the
Well,
natural
most
order
white
of
men have that
things.
moment, I guess.
Okay.
He was Mediterranean. Was he like super white? I don't know his skin complexion.
I don't know what counts.
That's a good point.
I guess
Anyway,
he's Greek.
It's all Greek to me.
It's all Greek to me. Greek all the way down.
Great song. God, we're 15 minutes into this. We haven't even started.
It's a good thing. Okay, so we constantly talk about Aristotle, but Mike's right. He wasn't actually a shitty person, really. He laid the foundation for a whole bunch of sciences, a whole bunch of philosophies. As a matter of fact, he's been called the father of logic, biology, political science, zoology, embryology, natural law, scientific method, rhetoric, psychology, realism, criticism, individualism, theology, and meteorology, and has been wrong in all of them at the same time.
Yes. Imagine having all that time to be able to think about all those things.
Yeah, in fact, for more on time, go check out the episode.
I'm so on time.
Damn.
But Timothy Ferris, in the book Coming of Age and Milky Way, says of Aristotle, he was not a man to whose lips sprang readily the phrase, I do not know. But that wasn't a way of saying he's right. That was just saying he was way too overconfident in his thoughts. If somebody
Ego.
asked him a question, he gave them an answer and thought, this is correct.
Ego.
For example, he believed that women had fewer teeth than men for some reason, even though you can count them.
teeth?
Had what?
Fewer
teeth.
teeth.
Oh, yeah. Also,
Yeah.
that your
Right.
blood was colder.
But
Yes.
well, okay, that
Well,
might
that's
be
ice
true
cold. That makes
actually,
sense.
because I'm
Cold-blooded,
always
you're a
cold.
lizard?
Well, I'm always cold, so
Well, that has nothing
I
to
don't
do with
know.
your blood.
But I mean, you can count the teeth.
Yeah. So he had some odd little thoughts like that. But in
Because
general,
our mouths are smaller, we have fewer teeth. I'm guessing that's what the logic is.
sure. But in general, the opinions and kind of the statements on Aristotle, they vary wildly within academia, general thought, popular science. So, for example, some have called him the first scientist. Others say that he had nothing to do with science whatsoever.
Yeah. I would say that for during ancient Greece, this period, you get kind of like a precursor to science. There's no scientific method. The word science isn't around. It's kind of like people are starting, I won't say for the first time, but at least as we know of, people are starting to not use gods to explain natural processes around them, but use the physical world to explain how things are happening.
And there's a reason why the Renaissance is a callback to thinking about things in like the Greek way of world again. So yes, it's still a method of thinking. And I've also read that Aristotle refused to mend his ideas to views of the world, while other papers say he constantly modified his views when new evidence arose.
Okay, so we basically don't know what's going on.
Even Galileo, who had strong opinions about Aristotle, he said in his papers, quote, "I am sure that if Aristotle were to return to Earth, he would accept me among his followers on account of my few but conclusive contradictions to him." So it's like, hey, Aristotle would still think I follow him, even though we're kind of seeing things differently because I have new evidence. So with that, let's dive into in the physics world what Aristotle thought, what his beliefs were. So the foundation of Aristotle's physics lie in his classical elements. And of course we have earth, air, water, and fire.
You gotta earth. I don't know the wind. I'm trying, like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, see, I thought the way you said Earth, Wind, that you're going for the Planeteers.
Oh,
no. It is the... No, I got you. It's the
they do
the
the
motions
move,
that they do.
the move.
And they all lived in harmony until
again.
the fire cities. I have never seen it. I'm sorry.
You've never seen Avatar?
You've never seen Avatar: The Last Airbender?
No, never have.
Oh my gosh.
So the classical elements, according to Aristotle, comprised of earth, air, water, and fire. Now, there was a fifth element, which we can talk about later, called the aether, which basically was what the star stuff was made of. But here on Earth, he was able to look at everything and say, okay, we have these four basic elements, and we can kind of prove that by looking at a log, which is, as we know, better than bad, but good.
Log.
Thank you. So a log is made of multiple elements. So if you burn it, it catches fire, it exhibits flames, it's made of fire. But of that fire, there's also smoke coming out, so it's also made of air. And it's hissing steam, there's water inside of it, and then when it's all gone, there are ashes made of earth.
It's made of all the things.
Yeah, so everything's comprised of all four elements, just in different ratios.
Okay.
And so that's how you can kind of define the order of things, which... if you don't think about it from our modern point of view, but just based off what you had then, it kind of made sense, right?
Yeah, I guess so, because what else are you going to go off of? You don't have telescopes, or microscopes. You don't have
telescopes either.
Yeah. You don't have any scientific instruments. Oh!
That was a loud one. That was a good one.
Wow, we actually haven't had a dog bark for a while. I know we're freezing again, or we're... slow, I don't know. Just
I suggest jackets.
Bear with it.
And mittens.
Keep going.
And little heating pads. That'll help the freezing.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like,
all right, so we're going to come back to the classical elements quite a bit here, because again, that's the foundation for everything. But of course, we're at Cosmos the Cosmos, so let's talk about his views of astronomy. So his views of astronomy really come from his book On the Heavens, or De Caelo. Frederic was not here to chastise me.
I don't know why you made it Italian when he's Greek.
Well, I gotta be honest. When I was reading it, I read it in Italian.
Oh.
So everything that he wrote, a lot of it was lost. The vast majority of what he wrote was lost. But then most of what we have today was transcribed into Latin.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I have my Italian fingers.
Yeah. We lost a lot from ancient Greece. Anyway, moving on.
There's actually a really cool story about where all his writings went to after he died, and where they were held, and who bought them, and things like that. But that's a different story altogether. Wow, I appreciate that. So we have those four elements to explain the views on astronomy. So let's take a look at his underlying theory of astronomy, and then figure out how those elements tie in.
Okay.
So Aristotle subscribed to the homocentric theories of Ulysses.
Unisys,
yes. Who died in 3040.
Oh, this
sorry,
is
30,
this
40.
is
My God.
a name of somebody.
Yes.
I thought it was like Unisys, like
Unisys.
leaves in Unisys.
Yeah. So Ulysses died in the year 340.
Very
And
good.
for some perspective, Aristotle died in the 3060s. So there was some good overlap there. And
Okay.
Aristotle was really the science of the spheres, guys. Like he devised that there are spheres among the sky.
Oh,
So the
okay.
Earth
Concentric
has a
spheres.
sphere, the moon has a sphere, the wanderers have a sphere. So in the sky we have the fixed points of light: the moon, the sun, the occasional comet and meteor, and the wanderers. So these spheres explain through observations, importantly, how all these things moved in the sky the way they do. I don't know why they chose spheres like that. Like Plato, for example, considered a sphere to be the perfect shape.
That's
So-
what
Well,
it is.
It
It's
is.
the perfect shape.
It is the perfect shape.
It's and
So-
that's why. And they're crystalline spheres, so it's
Did they figure out the Earth was spherical before or after Aristotle? During
Before.
Before Aristotle. Okay.
Well, before, but also Aristotle had experience to prove that it was round.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. To do a quick little tangent, so he figured this out with lunar eclipses at night. So when you look at the moon during the lunar eclipse, we have that kind of circular shadow coming across it, but that
Yeah.
can still be explained with multiple shapes. A cylinder, for example, can explain the shape. But then the moon has different positions in the sky. And so when you look at the moon at this position or higher position or lower position, it still has the same shape coming
Yeah.
across it. So if the Earth was a cylinder, it wouldn't have the same shadow going across the moon.
Right. Okay.
So that's how he figured out, oh, the Earth is spherical.
yeah. You can also use that shadow to prove that
Yep.
the Earth is not flat
Ah.
because a
And
disc
that
will,
was
a disc will
all
have a different
Aristophanes.
Right.
yeah, a disc will have a different.
Could they also just look at the
Was-
moon when it's full and go, "Oh, hey, it's a circle. We're probably a circle too."
Well, two-dimensional shapes are hard. Was Aristophanes before or after Aristotle?
That I don't know.
Probably before. Let's just go with before. So in any case, so Aristotle took this previous theory and then chiseled it and quote unquote improved it. So now, as opposed to I think the original guy had like 14 spheres, Aristotle made 55 of these crystalline spheres,
Jesus.
and
way to make
each
it more
sphere is
complicated.
responsible for part of the sky. So each wanderer, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, all had their own spheres.
Mm-hmm.
And there was even a sphere of fire that was responsible for meteors and heat.
Oh, sphere of
Kinda cool.
fire. That's fun.
Yeah.
Take that, Johnny Cash. And now each of these spheres did not move individually. They were attached to one another at their poles to the next sphere up. So the next sphere up basically controlled the sphere below.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, sure.
So yeah, nested, connected spheres.
Yeah, exactly. The issue, of course, is what happens when you get to the last sphere. And I think Liz talked about this maybe like a year or two ago. I remember you talking about this with the unmoved
pressure.
mover.
With the
Do you remember
what?
talking about the unmoved mover?
The unmoved mover.
This is the
God,
he
no.
he did not call it a god. He did not call it an entity, but there is some force that would move the sphere.
The
Now that
gerbils.
cannot be moved. The gerbils, yes.
Okay.
Gerbils
okay.
in a wheel. It just
Now-
on the outside, just
going.
running.
Just going.
Now remember that the unmoved mover, because we'll talk about him later on when we get to Renaissance times.
Okay.
So with the exception of the Earth, all of these spheres are incorruptible, meaning they cannot be changed, except for, of course, motion.
Okay.
So they're all eternal things. But Earth, as we know, you can dig holes in it, you can move things around, we can corrupt it.
Oh, because we're not in our own sphere?
We're not on these crystalline.
Oh, we're in
No.
the center of all of the spheres.
We are in the center because the spheres are made lots of air and fire, whereas where we are, the Earth is the heaviest element. So everything tries to go down to its natural order. So Earth being the heaviest, that's what we
or
we are.
up to its natural order.
Or up to its natural order. You're right.
Okay, is this because of, he's observing what he doesn't know is gravity and it's like everything's falling towards
Right.
the earth,
Pretty
so
much.
it's the heaviest.
Well, yeah. And you can look at that. Like the rock is made of earth. You throw the rock up, it doesn't float. It falls down.
True.
If you take a handful of dandelions and throw them up, they're going to go fly away because they're also made of a significant amount of air.
Okay.
So that was his reasoning, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's
yeah.
technically nothing wrong with these like initial thoughts.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so he's trying to lay the foundation, or he's laying the foundation, but in his mind, this is all that is right.
Yes,
because
this is how it works.
He didn't
like,
take
I'm a
in
genius,
math, right?
And
Yeah, there's no math in any of this.
So this is where the geocentrism takes
he's
shape.
A theorist is who he is.
Earth is the heaviest of the four elements, so therefore it is in the center of things. Everything falls down to the Earth.
Okay.
So it wasn't necessarily that the whole universe revolves around us. It's, Earth's the heaviest, so it makes sense that we're in the center then, because everything falls down towards the center.
Okay.
That was his thought.
Yeah, so Mars isn't made of rock or anything like that. Mars is different. Mars is on that sphere.
Well, I mean,
Mars isn't like, I don't know for sure. I'm assuming Mars would be an aether.
Yeah.
But it's a wanderer, so I'm not sure if it's the same.
Yeah, so I mean, well, and just to put it into a little perspective, is that again, they don't have telescopes during this time, so the planets to the Greeks look exactly the same as the planets do today in the sky. Like, they look like stars that just happen to be moving about a bunch more than the other stars. So there's something different.
And to Aristotle's credit, he didn't say there's a god going across the sky. He goes, no, that's just an aether stuck on the sphere moving around the Earth because it's heavy.
Yeah, again, trying to use natural explanations to these natural phenomena, basically, that they're seeing.
So the issue being then, and we think like Aristotle's in astronomy back 1,500 years, is that nobody for the next 1,500 years really said no. Like, sir, we had Ptolemy come in, and he added epicycles to things to explain more finer motions. But really, they go, it kind of works observationally. This is fine.
I mean,
right?
imagine trying to comprehend other planets, though, or other. I mean, it's like there's a
planets,
hard thing
moons, other stars
to do when you can't
galaxies,
actually see them. You know.
Yeah, I mean, but I think also scientists are also prone to cults of personality.
Obstinacy.
Yeah, so Aristotle had all these big ideas.
Right.
And to be fair, the Dark Ages did not help. The fall of the Roman Empire did not help.
The loss of the Library of Alexandria didn't help.
Right. And let's really quick talk about kind of the cult of personality. So he was a student of Plato.
No. Yes.
Plato.
Okay.
He who was broad-chested, where Plato came from. And Plato had like the university, the big thinking center of the world at the time. And so Aristotle eventually took that over. Well, kind of, and he had to make his own school. So he was the personality. He was the great thinking mind at the time. So if you said, well, he may not be right, somebody may say, well, where's your university at?
Right, yeah. Well, what would you have a better idea?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's literally, he's pushing...
He's an established authority, basically.
He's an established authority, and...
This.
Like, even today, there are people who don't want to say Einstein is right. They want to say Newton is right, and they are doing everything they can to prove that Newton is actually more correct than Einstein is, and all this kind of stuff.
And we will get into that in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So that and things like the Dark Ages made us take 1,500-ish years. And
to unpack the Dark Ages, even the Dark Ages weren't necessarily dark. They were dark in the sense that we don't have the information in the Western world. But Aristotle was called the first scientist in the Muslim world, specifically because they were able to transcribe his information and then build a foundation off of his thoughts and change them where the evidence fit.
Yeah, the Dark Ages weren't. It was just there wasn't like
the sun went out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
That's it. Game over. Okay.
That's exactly what happened.
Next topic. No, but Liz, you're obviously absolutely right because you have the history degree behind you. It was just that. Absolutely right. We don't have the information available, so that's why I call it dark.
Well, and also because there wasn't that, things were so, at least in medieval Europe, the church had so much power and it restrained, people weren't thinking about things. They weren't trying to explain away because it was all they're trying to survive. There's crusades happening. There's plagues happening.
Right. And let's let's just go ahead and talk about the church. Let's just do that really quick. So the church really loved Aristotle's theories because of that unmoved mover. They latched on to the idea that there is some force, some entity beyond that is moving the heavens. Whereas Aristotle, he did not want to say there's a god, there's an entity moving things. He just said there's some kind of force.
Yeah, well, also to the Greeks, just as a little caveat, the Greek pantheon of gods, because again, we're talking about ancient Greeks, so you have the Zeus and all those jerks. But like their gods weren't necessarily used as a way to they're not using their gods as a way to explain
the gaps,
how things work and what's happening. Their gods were basically humanity personified, and so it was like you do offerings and you worship the gods in order to have good things happen to you and not incur there's the pronunciation, incur their wrath and such. So it was a different. Their gods were used in a different way than, say, like today, than like a Christian god or some other gods where it's like, oh, we need it to rain, so we got to, do a certain ceremony or sacrifice a bunch of people. Rain.
Yeah. Sorry, that's a whole Utah thing.
It's raining. It was raining earlier today. Anyway, so
it was a Utah thing.
It's a different their ideology towards their gods. The manifestation of their gods was used differently than.
Ooh. I like the manifestation of their gods. I like that.
That should be your drink name.
Okay, done. Manifestation of the gods, right?
We are no longer drinking Ginai. We're drinking manifestation of gods. Yeah, so the church latched on to the Aristotelian ideas that there's an unmoved mover explained by God. Mm-hmm. And so you can kind of say that is why science had difficult time moving on, because the church found this gap that Aristotle did not mean for it to occur, but they said, no, this is where God fits in, the exact opposite of the Greek philosophy like Liz was talking about. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep. So let's stick that in the back pocket. I'm sure we'll come back to this. Yeah. And talk about the next Aristotle physics. We talked about, the heavens for a moment. Now let's talk about the big one, or one of the big ones, motion.
Motion!
Motion! Physics of motion! Who knew?
Gotta move it.
Wasn't one of his books called Physics?
Yes. Oh, really?
He had physics on the... Okay, so quick sidetrack. The way it worked is he didn't necessarily write the books and call them physics and on the heavens and XYZ. He had the... what are they called? Esoteric and... I can't remember what the other one was called. But he published in two varieties. One was meant for in the university. One was meant for out of the university.
Okay.
So like a layman's version?
Yeah.
Right. And the
smart people, dumb people.
Hey, Indy. What's going on there, buddy? I forgot he was there.
Oh, take a drink.
He's done.
There
we go.
He didn't break, did he?
All right, so I'm going to wait for a second.
Huh?
He's a plushie.
Oh, he's plush?
Yeah, he's a plushie.
Oh, I didn't know he was plush.
He's a little plushy guy.
Yeah.
Oh. Kind of fun. Any case,
we should get
we had the esoteric, and I forget what the other one was, the in university and out of university. Mm-hmm. And the great orator Cicero said of his writings from out of university that they were words in gold. Oh. Apparently, they were really fucking good. It's basically like Carl Sagan level shit, right?
Wow.
Like, it's making sense. It flows well. There's poetry in there. This is gold. However, every single one of those writings were lost.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to keep stuff around after a couple thousand years.
Why didn't they digitize it?
Could have done it. And so all we were left with the esoteric meant for in university kind of dry language, which is unfortunate, but that's, I can imagine, the case for most of writings throughout history. We're just left with the bare bones.
Yeah.
And even his esoteric writings, again, I mentioned the cool history. It passed through like 4 different hands before they found its way back into Athens, or back into Rome, rather. Take that back into Rome. Yeah. And through those couple hundred years, they were not in great conditions where they were stored. And so there were gaps. And so somebody had to go in and fill in the gaps with question marks. This is probably what he meant. Sure.
Yes. Well, yeah.
So back to motion.
It's a common problem with historical research is when you, you're reliant on things that were made thousands of years ago, and so you don't always have that.
And that's really how digital storage goes in general, right? Like there's always going to be some corruption in there, just like the spheres. All right, so motion. He said in his writings that everything that moves is moved by something else.
Okay.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah, so we're getting somewhere. Sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about objects on the center sphere, which is Earth. So because Earth is the heaviest thing, objects that have more Earth in them have a tendency, things on Earth have a tendency of having two motions, up and down, right?
Yeah.
Either going up
or
either going down. You have some sideways motion in you, but even the sideways motion, you're either going up or long-term down.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so he explained that, we talked about, with the ratio of elements within that thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
but
think
is
about
it the motion for all of them up and down? That the sideways motion is what he called violent motion.
So violent motion is a little something else. So violent motion is when you have an action forced upon the other objects.
Right, but that's going to make it go sideways.
But the dandelions in the wind from earlier. So the rock you throw up, it's going to come down pretty fast. So the dandelions are going to fly off and then come
in that
down
case,
later.
the wind is the external force.
So it's creating that violent motion on the dandelions.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
So maybe I spoke too soon when I
violence.
said horizontal motion. It's just an up or down at the end of the day. When it comes to, so we have violent motion and was it normal motion?
Natural
motion. Thank you. So yes, we have up and down. Let's stick with that.
Okay.
So that's explained by the ratio of elements within that thing. So think about fog, for example. Mm-hmm. Fog obviously constitutes more air and smoke than Earth. It's because it's not coming down. It's just floating.
Yeah.
Right.
So those objects desire to move up at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Other objects.
What it is, the order is Earth, air. No, Earth, water, air.
Earth, water, air. Probably fire than the air.
Fire?
Water being
because
heavier
you have
than
fire.
Okay, you got what we
and
got
fire
for
creates
Earth,
smoke,
water,
smoke
air.
up.
Yes.
What am I
Because
missing?
fire doesn't fly. Oh, the aether. Fire doesn't go amongst the atmosphere.
That's true.
It hangs out, and the smoke goes up.
So it would be.
Because
So it should be
smoke's made-
Earth, fire, water, air. No. What?
Well, let's find out. Let's keep talking and see what notes I have here. So, and then there are other objects, like a tennis ball thrown in the dog park, that either comprise more of Earth and they fall down, which is the natural order of things. And there's a note in here that says Newton had some thoughts.
Well, I mean, yeah. So it's just that the problem with Aristotle is
Sorry, I just had a moment. The problem with Aristotle.
is two things.
Lack of technology.
Is that it's just all philosophy. Is all it is.
Well, yeah, because you can't do any
Wait,
scientific
okay,
experimentation,
let's back up a second. Here.
Well, no,
Aristotle being all philosophy is correct, but also very incorrect at the same time.
All right, so you have to be able to make predictions. You have to.
Let's take this within the context of the time.
Okay.
Because we can't judge Aristotle now 2,500 years later.
Well, no, but science is science.
That's
if you
why
say
it's
that
a
he's the father of
precursor
science.
He's the father, as in
If he's the father of science.
Oh, and by the way, I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just being that advocate.
No, and that's fine.
It's
fine
advocate,
being
the devil's
Aristotle's
advocate.
So there's that, but he was also wrong in some of the things he said. The spheres. Galileo, when he saw a comet, and Galileo's like, this destroys the spheres.
Right. He was wrong, but observationally, based off what he knew, he was right.
It's a hypothesis. You don't know if you're right. You do not know if you're right until you test it. That's what science is all about. You can make observations all you want. Okay. Wait a minute. Observations are experiments. So in science, in physics, I don't know how they do it in these other lesser sciences like biology.
Oh,
God.
I love you, Mom. All right. Anyway, no. So in physics, You basically have two disciplines now. You have the theorist and you have the experimentalist.
Yeah.
The
theorists think of the things,
and
the
they work together.
experimentalists use the colliders.
Yeah, they work together. Theorists will advance the experimentalists. Sometimes the experimentalists need to catch up. Einstein, great example of that. Quantum physics, great example of that. Sometimes the experimentalist will drive the theorist, and the theorists have to, have a paradigm shift to come up with whatever explains whatever their observation is. And so you can look up and you can say, okay, this is how I'm going to explain the motions of these planets, and they're on these spheres and goes around, 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 around. That's you trying to fit observations. You have not done any kind of experiment or any kind of mathematics to prove or disprove anything. It's just me saying that it's like me saying Mars is not what you think it is. Mars is a big LED sphere just floating around in space.
And at this point,
that's all it is.
At this point, we had Pythagoras. And besides that, we didn't have much math, and even Aristotle didn't really subscribe to the Pythagoras theorems, to that belief system, because it was a belief system at the time. And so he had to go off not having math, not having these types of scientific knowledges.
Well, but the thing is it's
Greeks, easy for us to say now.
The Greeks had a lot of geometry going on.
Oh yeah,
they were able to figure out.
They're measuring angles and shit.
And
measuring angles, circumferences
the
of
sphere
circles.
is the perfect shape, exactly. To have a whole Pythagoras theorem going on. There was a lot of math for sure.
Some people just don't want to do math.
Right, but that's fine. But you can say something is what it is, but until you test it. But seeing it in the sky is not the observation that you think it is.
Would you have had that same thought 2,300 years ago without knowing the background we have now? Or you say, hey, you know what? Aristotle's saying these things, and it matches our observations at the moment. Or would you say, no, we need squiggly numbers?
No, you wouldn't.
I would have invented the squiggly numbers.
There wasn't really a concept of
squiggly numbers.
So
Aristotle almost had pre-calculus. Kind of almost had pre-calculus.
Right. Well, he's with pre-calculus being trig in algebra.
Right. But he didn't even have roots. He couldn't do a calculus of roots.
No. That didn't exist at the time. But all I'm saying is that he just came up with an idea. There was no way to test it. There was.
But he came up with the idea observationally. Like he said, this makes sense in our world.
I'm not saying what he's doing is like incorrect or anything like that. He is a theorist trying to well,
they were all
describe what he
sees.
They were
all called philosophers.
But there was no way at the time to test it, and so it becomes philosophy. But also,
well, you could test some things. So, for example,
you can test some things, but you can't test anything with Mars.
No, but Mars is just point out there, Aether. So let's talk about things made here on Earth. You have a big boulder. You drop it next to a small pebble when it's windy outside. The big boulder falls faster.
When it's windy outside.
When it's windy. So
was the wind blowing up?
Here's the other thing we're going to talk about: the natural order of things.
No.
So should you drop a boulder from a great height, it falls faster than the object that contains more air, is what Aristotle was thinking.
And that is incorrect. Galileo showed that to be.
No, he's wrong.
Within
Aristotle's
a vacuum.
wrong about everything. We know this.
No,
however,
even
a vacuum didn't exist.
Well, he even said.
Let's drop it in the water and see what happens.
Aristotle even used his ideas to prove that a vacuum can never exist. He said that it would be infinite. It would go infinite speed if you had a vacuum, and well, that's not the case at all. But Galileo showed that's wrong. If you have two objects, different masses,
right?
And let's say you have two balls, different masses, one smaller than the other, though, they're still going to roll down that incline plane at the same speed because the rate at which they fall, all things being equal, except for their mass, and hence their size, is going to be gravity. The Earth's gravity in particular.
Well,
the mass of the
we know
balls.
this now. We're,
Right.
Right.
Aristotle's wrong about everything, but we're
he
talking
said-
about what he's gonna.
But
what
Brandon
he's wrong
said
on.
if you drop a small pebble and a big rock, the big rock
to
falls faster.
Aristotle,
From,
in Aristotle's
from an airplane.
point of view, this
Which
is
they didn't
his.
have.
They didn't have. No, you're right.
But no, they're going to fall the same. I don't even need to be in a modern time to say that. I can be back with Aristotle, hanging out with
Have
him,
you seen
drinking,
Rosencrantz and
whatever.
Guildenstern the Dead?
drinking whatever Aristotle drinks. You know,
So
Just drop
let's
them.
say they dropped a rock and a feather.
that's different.
No, it's not. It is. It's very different. But to the thinking of the time,
The
it's
feathers
still
made more, of
falling
more
through a different
air.
medium.
The feathers made
The
of
feathers
more
made of more air,
Then the rock is made of more earth, so the
which
rock
is why
is
the feather
heavier,
flutters.
and the feather's lighter, and that's why it doesn't fall like the rock does. This is the truths of Aristotle.
Aristotle did not know about a vacuum. He just proved that it didn't exist in his way of thinking.
Well,
Our terming of a
both
vacuum.
nature and Aristotle abhor a vacuum. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how wrong was Aristotle. Clearly, he was very wrong, but still had some thoughts to it. Which, by the way, again, I agree with everything Mike is saying.
No, you don't.
You're right. I thoroughly disagree with modern physics.
Okay, I do think we need to go back to the feather, though. I get it. Feather made up more
Yeah.
air. It's going to float up. But for those that are listening, that is not the reality of the situation.
They know that.
Well, no, okay. I'm just saying that it's the drag of the atmosphere that prevents
And
it.
actually, Mike and I had a little go back and forth in the notes here. So we talked about vacuum versus what law did I mention? Stokes' law. So basically, that things act differently in different mediums. So in water, in maple syrup, whatever. And so Aristotle didn't necessarily have that. He goes, hey, it falls differently in water. It falls differently in air. So clearly, this is the case.
Yeah.
I
And,
mean, hey, you know,
and,
when all you got to go off of is by what you see.
and actually, Apollo 15, Dave Scott did the feather hammer drop.
And what was his quote? Looks like Galileo was right again.
Yep. Something along those lines. Yep.
Yeah.
But he said it in such a nonchalant kind of way.
Well,
It's
he was probably
looks
pissed off. Like,
it's-
can you imagine? Like, you're up there in space. You can imagine how much 60 seconds cost, and you're proving Galileo right. Like, shouldn't have to happen. He's probably pissed off by that. I could do
Oh, no, I can see
geology and get
that.
these rocks.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. And so,
All right. So let's pivot for a second here. So in researching this show, I came across a paper from Italian physicist Carlo Rovelli.
Okay.
And so he published this paper in 2013 that compares Aristotle's work in motion to Newtonian physics and says that within their respective domains, so within what we knew at the time, Aristotle's views are no more wrong than comparing Newton's to general relativity.
I mean,
So
yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
So as an example, Newtonian physics, he says, quote, Newtonian physics provides an effective conceptual scheme for understanding physical phenomena, but it's wrong at the end of the day. So you can't explain Mercury's orbit. Einstein general relativity can.
yeah.
But that doesn't diminish Newton's contributions. Just because it's wrong, it's still conceptually correct for the most part. And for the 99.99% of the time, it is correct. Even NASA still uses Newton physics, but it's still technically wrong.
yeah.
Yeah, so with Aristotle, dropping these different heights, sure, that makes sense. Things go up, things go down. It makes sense. It's still conceptually wrong, but it can still explain things. So you can understand. Mike's has a face. Oh my!
How does it explain it? How does it explain it?
So if things go up, if dandelions go up, clearly it must have more air inside of it. It must be lighter than the Earth.
That is not how it works.
I know it's not how it looks, not how it works.
Yeah,
but it explains it if you don't understand the base of chemistry, the base of biology, the base of weight or science in general. So it's going up. Must be air.
What would Aristotle do if you had two dandelion seeds? Mm-hmm. One goes up, one goes down.
One of them must be made of earth.
But it's a dandelion seed.
It's heavier. It's heavier.
But it's a dandelion seed. It
should be made of the same.
It should be made of the same stuff as the other.
So Aristotle is also known as the father of zoology. He wrote and described over, I think, 600 species, 35 of which he dissected. So I would think, hopefully, he would dissect the seed and see what's going on inside of it, and seed what's going on inside. So
again, if one falls and the other goes up, I mean, it's a hypothesis that you could never prove wrong. Because you could always just say, well, that dandelion seed just has more earth in it as compared to the other one, which has more air. You can never prove it wrong. And it's just philosophy at this point.
Yeah, but they're not there. He's not there to prove anything correctly. It's like, hey, I've thought these things. What I see matches, so hey, this has got to be how it works. I got limited tools at my disposal. I got my eyeballs, and I got some papyrus and whatever we write with back in those days.
A reed. No, but I mean, but there is somebody. I mean, sure, you can say that, but just blowing a dandelion seed, a dandelion thing, whatever it is.
The
dandelion.
Or maybe there was an external force. Maybe the wind came and hit at different angles.
Yeah, and it caused violent
motion, of course.
But its motion is up or down.
Unless it's violently blown on, and then it goes sideways.
And so, ultimately, though, the dandelion comes down, right? The dandelion seed. But if
you don't know, because it could go for hundreds of yards. You can't follow that.
Why can't you?
You're not going to run and chase it and look at it.
Well, then how does the dandelion grow on the ground? The seed has come down, right?
Esoteric knowledge. Maybe it goes up.
But, all right, so, I mean, clearly, I'll admit, I'm looking at this from a Newtonian perspective, where if it...
But you don't have that knowledge in the year 300 BC.
Yeah, but still, you are going to see the seeds come down. Like if we blow dandelion out in our front yard, which
that means the violent motion then pushed it down.
But the violent motion. But he also said the violent motion doesn't stay forever. It is a temporary thing.
But it can stay for 50 yards.
And if the violent motion ends, it's going to rise. So if the violent motion pushes it down on the ground, what prevents it from going back up into the air? Because it's just sitting on the ground. That's all it's doing.
Well, it's already in the ground, and the Earth is taking it over.
Well, the Earth is the heaviest. Everything goes towards the ground because it's the heaviest.
Let's say that the why and the how of Aristotle's physics are usually wrong. Like 90% of the time,
why are you arguing?
The why and the how is wrong, right? It's wrong. We know that. So let's go back to classical elements, like we were just talking about, and let's toss a piece of wood in the water. What happens to the wood? This is my favorite game. So in Chase Stadium,
well, if it's a witch, if it's not a witch, it'll float.
Bingo. So in Chase Field, they played this game for a couple of years. It's called Does It Sink or Does It Float? Because they have a swimming pool in the stadium.
Yes.
And so they threw an object, a thing, into the pool and asked somebody, is it going to sink or float? And it was delightful. So in this case, we're tossing a piece of wood in the pool. It's going to float. And that's because, according to Aristotle, it floats because its natural place is lower than air, yet higher than water.
Oh.
Okay.
So it's obviously wrong, but in observation, it's kind of right. Until Archimedes comes around and talks about metal. Go ahead, Mike.
So, tree falls down. You got a little twig. Again, what prevents it? It wants to go to its natural location, right? Which is between water and air. Why does it not raise off the ground to go to that?
Well, because the Earth is heavier.
But
Liz has a point.
The Earth is heavier.
It's on the ground. The Earth's heavier. The Earth's got it.
Okay.
It needs a violent motion to return to its natural state.
But violent motion is temporary. Violent motion is temporary. It does not
But
last.
how long is temporary? Like 1,200 years?
What is pushing? All right, we have a twig on the ground. What's pushing it down? Don't say gravity. That does not apply to this
Gravity
situation.
doesn't exist. You're right. Well,
Nothing's pushing it down.
nothing's pushing it down.
It's just
But
But wait,
that is
wait,
what
wait,
causes
wait,
the violent
no.
motion.
So of the twig itself, it's made of a variety of things. Mostly earth, some air, some fire, as we know, because it can light on fire, it can cause smoke. But it's still being caused down to its natural order of things, which is mostly earth. So its earth is bringing it down.
You don't know that twig.
No, but you said that the reason why it floats is because
that's
it's
for
natural.
that one piece of
No,
wood.
that's within water, not necessarily within the earth.
Okay, but it's still going to be the same, right?
But
Whether
that's just for that one piece of wood.
earth, water, air, fire, ether, right?
Yes.
Those are our layers, and everything wants to return to its natural state,
order.
Natural
Yes.
order.
It's like slavery.
So
apparently.
the rock, its natural is mainly earth. Its natural order is to be attracted to earth. Brandon just said that the reason why this thing floats is because the wood's natural order is between water and air.
Yeah, for that
Yes.
piece of wood, based on
Okay.
the observation of it floating. But another piece of wood on the ground, well, it's mostly earth, so it's on the
So,
ground.
but if I now take this log out of the water and put
Okay.
it on ground, why does it not go up?
Because
And if I
There's-
take
Look,
if I take wood,
Aristotle is not experimenting like this. He's just saying, "Here's what I
No,
see.
but-
This is what it's made of. Then, and this is how the rules
but my
work."
point is that if you make a this is how the universe works.
They don't have science yet. They don't have
I-
that yet.
I love how mad fancy physics man
I'm
is
not
getting.
mad.
Yeah, you're very argumentative over ancient thought processes, pre-science.
And me and Liz are like, oh, okay, this kind of makes sense. That's our argument.
Like, yeah, it's just based on what you're
I
seeing
mean,
for
it's
that one
wrong.
object. It's not that not everything is the same. The rules don't apply equally across the board.
But they have to.
Not
Like,
in
let's
Aristotle's
even-
world.
Let's
See, this is
talk
my
about
point.
Newton for a second.
This is
Like,
my point. Where no matter what you say,
They
you
don't-
can say, "Well, I mean, your
Yeah,
theory
you
is
can-
never wrong," and so it becomes a law of
but
the
these
universe.
are like new thought processes. These are
Yeah.
new things that Aristotle is doing.
I am not saying that the idea of it is wrong. Is bad. I'm not saying
Okay,
that what
okay.
Aristotle did
So
was
if
bad.
you had no other background, no other science, Newton doesn't exist, Kepler doesn't exist, Galileo's not there, you think, you know what? This Aristotle fellow, he's got a pretty good thought.
You know what?
There's
Oh,
a
no,
natural
I
order
would
of
say
things.
at the time, yeah, he's got a pretty good thought. But then my next question would be like, okay, if I take that floating wood
Yeah,
out of
but
the water,
nobody is thinking that way.
No.
no, but
You may not. I mean, so
but
let's
if you,
get,
but
let's
you
get credence
are,
then.
you
Let-
are
let's-
No,
thinking
you
that way.
are.
No.
So
even-
in that sense, let
Look.
me bring it back. Let me bring it back.
all right.
So in that sense, let's give credence then to Copernicus, to Galileo, to asking the questions, and not only asking the questions, which has been done before, people ask the questions, but then also going out to create the evidence, create the observations and mathematics to say, no, that's actually not how it works. So just the three of us here, and Liz and I are playing devil's advocate, sure, but we don't think like the fear of God is going to strike us down if we are incorrect. Like, you can imagine how difficult then it was for Copernicus to say, no, this last 1,500 years was incorrect.
Right.
And this is actually how it is, and let me explain why.
Yeah, and he did it on his deathbed. Yeah.
He released it on his deathbed, yeah, because, you know.
Yeah. So
I mean,
so he thought about it, but he released it on his deathbed. But no, but they were thinking of these questions.
No, not,
Yes, they were.
Not to like, oh, but if we put
Oh.
the wood over here.
Aristotle obviously thinking very deeply about the question, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love that Aristotle is trying to explain the world around him based on coming up with a hypothesis and not testing it.
Okay.
But that is
Yeah,
beyond.
but
I
Brandon's
have
just giving
no
a
worry about that.
hypothetical example of his thought processes. and you're
I-
like, but no, what if you do this?
I-
It's
I
like,
have
that's
no
not
question.
the
No,
point.
but this is a question
questions.
that somebody from ancient Greece can ask.
Yeah,
I have
but
two questions.
like
did
this
they?
is a
Did they have
modern
the
question.
culture to do it?
I have
No.
two
The
questions.
wood thing is not a
Right.
modern question.
Is there evidence that somebody asked that question?
Well,
Ooh,
they probably asked the question, and Aristotle was like, "Shut the fuck up."
I'm pretty sure that the students of Aristotle are just wrapped onto his every word, and because you don't have
Well,
this
remember,
whole...
there were two different universities kind of at odds with each other, so you would expect the other one to question the other. So I posit again, did somebody ask that question?
I
What happens if?
Probably not.
and was kicked out of university.
Probably not. But I mean it. And I really am not pissed off at Aristotle. I think it's I think this
You're
whole
trying to
conversation
impose
is kind of
science on
funny.
it, though, and it's not science.
No, but even
At the same time, it's
The rules of
pre-science.
science.
look, this has nothing to do with science. Like modern
Yes!
okay, nothing to do with modern day science.
But without Aristotle, there is no modern day science.
Way of looking at things. I am hanging out, me and Aristotle, 2,300 years ago.
Hell yeah.
We're hanging out, sitting
Getting
on
some brewskis.
We got some togas. We're sitting on a ruin of a column.
Well, no, it
We're
wouldn't be a
just
ruin.
talking shit.
Well,
It wouldn't be a
We're-
ruin. Well,
We're underneath a column, just talking some shit. And he brings
yeah.
up the wood thing.
A couple of buds.
He brings up the wood thing, and somebody can ask the question. You don't need a modern.
yeah, and then Aristotle will explain it, and however Aristotle's going to explain it, which we
Right,
don't know
that's
how he's
true.
going to explain that question.
But then the next question is, how does the wood transfigure itself going from the water to the ground?
You said the word there. You said transfigure. That's not the right word. But
But how does it change itself? How does it change its composition? Is that not transfiguration?
Transmutation?
Transfiguration has a whole different connotation. But yes, you're correct. Why doesn't it do the thing then?
Yeah.
Why do you move it?
Why when you move it? How does it? Where does it pick up? Where does it give off its air, or where does it pick up its earth? He's probably going to say it gives off air at this point. But going from
maybe that's why steam exists. Steam exists with the heat, but if there's no heat, maybe it's still existing, but even though we can't see it. I don't know. I'm just
asking a question.
Yeah, you're
okay.
putting your inquisitive mind
and that is
into...
that is not a modern science way. That is a question that could be asked at any time.
Not necessarily.
That is a question that can be asked by a 5-year-old.
I mean, yeah, but we don't know if that was part of...
Aristotle's not here to defend himself, but it's just
no. But we also don't know if it was his university, was it were people asking questions, or were they just learning from him and taking notes and accepting everything?
It was a combination during his lifetime for sure, but then afterwards, a couple of hundred years after, they learned from him. But you could ask questions. But then as time went on, it became not necessarily established, but this is kind of how it is, and just go with it because we don't have
and then so
the
people
energy
accepted. They don't have the tools to do anything else. So
but then
accepted.
again, from around 400 AD to the Renaissance, it was like, well, this is kind of how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got to worry about the rats and the fleas. So no,
you got to worry about the rats.
And I really and
wars.
truly am not saying, and I'll admit I'm kind of looking at it in places from a modern science point of view and that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that. I mean, Aristotle, he was one of the first to see things and then try to come up with an explanation to explain them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Scientists do that all the time. It doesn't mean that they're right, but and most of them aren't. But it's just amazing.
Yeah.
How much sway he held for 1,500 years.
And even if you look at, Mike might disagree with me here, but I'm just going to go on the limb here. If you look at string theory and quantum and general relativity and Newtonian, they all still have the roots in Aristotle, as right or wrong as he was.
Which
And to have all of that in just physics and math and zoology and economics is incredible for a single person.
And that's the legacy. That's the legacy of Aristotle.
He just got people thinking.
I mean, he did. And to be fair to Aristotle, let me go back to the top of the notes here.
What did I say?
All right, logic, biology, political science, zoology, embryology, natural law, scientific method. Except for
wait, embryology? Embryology.
Rhetoric, psychology, realism, criticism, individualism, which we love in the U.S. Teleology?
Sure.
And meteorology. I mean, he had his hand in a lot of shit. And he probably only lived like 25 because it's ancient Greece.
He was in the 60s.
Okay.
That's
and
a
so,
wise old man.
Yeah, I mean, he did a lot. He made us think, literally, and then for a little bit of time where we
didn't for making us think.
Basically, he's one of the most known people of promoting. Hey, let's thinking about things in terms of rational explanations, logical explanations, rather than a theologic explanation.
And not even just as a person known for thinking ways, just in general, one of the most known people on the planet, right? Aristotle.
Because in the year 2025, we're talking about him
and
he's a smart dude.
Yeah. He's a smart dude.
Yeah, but he can't do fucking calculus.
No, he fucking can't.
But neither can I.
And apparently can't even do the square root of 2.
So with that, a good chunk of us here on this episode cannot do calculus off the top of our heads. However, you can still join us for the Hangover coming up next.
Hey!
All right, so in 2 weeks, everybody. I mean, are we out?
He's doing.
Yeah, in 2 weeks, join us for
High in the Sky for March.
High in the Sky already?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Are you sure?
Yeah. It's the luckiest night sky that happens.
Okay. Yeah, join us in 2 weeks for High in the Sky, which I love those episodes. And watch out for the shots. Join us in the Hangover. Be safe. Think of things. Protest where you can. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
That was a great ending. Cheers, everybody.
Bye. All right, we will. If you're joining us now live, we will be right back with The Hangover. So sit tight, and we will see you in a few minutes. Got a Mr. Frodo joining
So
us.
Mr. Frodo is composed mostly of earth, but some air due to his ability to jump.
Leia is predominantly air.
Oh yeah, due to her all her farts. Not great air either. Welcome to The Hangover.
Oh, we're doing it? We're live? All right, cool.
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, we've been live.
I was looking up rugby scores. I didn't know we were live.
Yeah.
I just thought you and Brandon were talking, and I was trying to find out what the halftime score was for the Ireland-Scotland game. But Ireland won.
My little meth raccoon here, my little Ted Bundy.
Oh, it's cute. God, I love his eyebrows.
Oh, is that so, Mr. Frodo? Hi. Anyway,
if you were with us for the main episode was on Aristotle, and it was fun. It was all about how Aristotle was wrong, and that Mike cannot put himself in his historical context and can't turn off his science mind. You have to pretend. You have to go back in time.
Wait, you know what you messed up at? Let's go back in time. Hi, Mr. Frodo.
And you have to forget you've ever heard of the word science, testing, experimentation, scientific method.
Okay,
Newton,
I just want to ask
quarks.
a question. I'm just asking a question. If you take the log that is floating in the water and you put it on the ground, what will happen and why?
You'll have to ask Aristotle.
I have a follow-up question based on what you say. How you answer?
You know what's actually kind of funny is that I'm sure that if Aristotle was, doing that demonstration, and somebody asked him that question, I'm sure he had a perfectly reasonable and logical at the time explanation for that that we cannot conceive at this day and age because we know too much and more.
Yeah, but I will even go one step further. Aristotle shows up and joins us for Cosmos and the Cosmos.
His brain would explode.
And
no.
Wait a minute, hold on. I'm not done. And I asked the question, what happens when you take the log?
And he would explain it.
And all three of us be like, yep, that's fucking right.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
So what we need is a poker game with us, Aristotle, Stephen Hawking, Einstein, and Newton. I'm going to take a drink to that one.
Okay, yeah, take a drink.
We don't have Star Trek in there.
We don't have the logo, but take a drink because that was a beautiful Star Trek
What
reference.
episode was that?
I think it was a couple of them, right?
Yeah, well, the one where it was him, Data, Hawking.
It's Stephen Hawking.
It's Stephen
Hawking.
I feel like that's a season 6. That's where the best episodes were.
Yeah, but I also think it was it was in a two-parter. So it only showed up once, but it was in a two-parter.
Is that the error of time?
No. Wait a minute. All right, well, I gotta look it up now.
My mom, what are you asking that question to? What statement? Microscopically or macroscopically?
Are we talking?
What happens to the log?
What?
This damn log's gonna haunt us. Why'd you have to use the log example? No more log examples ever again.
International log if we need to.
All right, I have to look up what episode it was.
Why don't you just Google Star Trek episode with Stephen Hawking?
Oh God, why?
See, this is why Aristotle is right. He wouldn't think about that. He would have done it automatically.
Adam said...
How do you think Aristotle would explain light speed?
Hold on, before we get to that, Adam said Powell's had a first edition Silmarillion, and it was hard for him to pass on.
One thing, due to its it was hard for you to pass on, meaning it was about $16,000. Is that what makes it difficult? Because I have a first edition US Silmarillion, but the actual first edition, that's some money right there. Anyway, in fact, I remember, I think 2 or 3 Salt Lake City Comic-Cons ago, I don't remember what the FanFest. You had Moon's Bookstore, which is located south of Salt Lake City, come up and have a whole display. And in the display, they had a first edition Lord of the Rings.
Ooh.
First edition. Not just US, first edition. And in my dumb fuckery, I said, how much is that? And he goes, no, that's not fucking for sale. The amounts of thousands of dollars that would be incredible.
Oh my god. Well, apparently only $200.
$200?
Pals had.
Stephen Hawking, episode Descent.
Go back. No, wait.
Descent.
Go back and get that.
Final episode of season 6. Finale. Season 6.
Oh, it's part of the finale?
Descent.
Yeah.
Part 1.
That's time's error, isn't it? Part 1, Part 2?
Descent. I just said Descent.
Isn't Time Zero the flute one?
You're gonna listen to me for 10 hours on a plane.
Okay, we're devolving into Star Trek lore now and episodes. But okay, so my mom asked. Her question was if we're talking about the changes microscopically or macroscopically with the log. I guess in Aristotle's view, he doesn't know what microscopically would be, but it would be a microscopic. It would microscopic change.
He honestly doesn't know what macroscopic is.
But when you remove it from the water, it loses some water and air, and that makes it more earth, and so it stays on the earth.
But when you have a log, you hold it, soak it in the water for 10 hours, pick it back up, it's going to be heavier at the same time. Does that mean somehow water is also made of earth because it's heavier?
Water sits on earth.
What did you just
Why
say?
are we doing this? We're coming off the log.
So
no more log. Okay.
Come on.
We're gonna die in this log.
Even though I am the lead of this episode, Liz will take the lead now.
No,
what
would Aristotle think of light speed?
Oh yeah.
Is that what you wanted to ask?
No, that's Brandon's
That's what I asked.
Oh
God.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you that. It probably doesn't matter to him because prior to go ahead.
The idea of atoms existed during Aristotle's time. I forget what his name was. Conceptually. But it also wasn't the same type of atoms we know today. It was still the atoms are some kind of small thing that make up everything.
Right, but there was no idea that light is attached to atoms in some sort of fashion or way.
Not.
And so...
they couldn't even, make... Well, they can make light with fire, never mind. But I was thinking,
But I
electricity,
would say, with no evidence, I would say that Aristotle...
With the confidence of a white man.
That... I know, right? Oh, God. Anyway, so in the time of Aristotle, putting myself in that history, anything that has to do with light is instantaneous from your perspective.
Yeah.
From a certain point of view. It is.
It's just always there.
Instantaneous.
It's a constant.
Right. You light whatever the version of an ancient Greek match is instant. And so I would say they probably say it's infinite.
That's fair.
Yeah. It has no speed.
That's like what everyone
thought. It has no speed.
So the question then becomes, can you go faster than the speed of light? Which was a question that Einstein was asking in 1905.
I don't think that would ever be a question that would popped up into anyone's brains in ancient Greece. I'd say that would not.
We're not
the show. Come here.
I think Jack woke himself up.
Did you wake yourself up, Jackie? Jackie.
Come here.
It sounded like a dream bark.
Sorry. I just did an adorable thing.
Hey.
So, watch in real time as I explain. I'm taking my headphones and I'm putting them on Frodo's ears. With the bark. Oh. So at first, he actually stopped and listened. He's like, what the fuck is this? And heard the barking, and then he just backed up immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
It reminds me when Newton took the needle and stuck it betwixt his eyes.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
I just forever. That's the only time I've heard the word betwixt is Newton describing putting a needle between his eyes.
Oh God. No, they had I'm sure they had oil lamps and stuff.
Yeah, it was all oil lamps. Because
Handles.
when I play Assassin's Creed,
There's
which we all know is a historical
They actually
documentary.
do have very good historical.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. It's all oil lamps.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
would
if the
not
Egyptians
base,
had oil lamps, then the Greeks can have oil lamps.
I would not base any historical accuracy on anything I just said about Assassin's Creed. Though they are pretty good. They try to be pretty good. In a month, though,
I wonder if you would think
Japan.
in ancient Greece if like things that are hot always glow.
All that glitters is gold, so that makes sense.
Because
Well, no,
fire gives
Okay,
off
what?
light and it's hot. Candle
coals-
flame.
But no, not necessarily. Coals can still be black and be hot.
Well, I'm sure they figured that out once they tested that. But they still are like, smoldering. They get red. Coals do, so they know that they're.
So why is it then that summer days that have the same amount of light as winter days can be hotter?
Summer days do not have the same amount of sunlight as winter days. What? Repeat your
It's
question?
still bright. It's still bright outside.
Oh, got you. But the sun is higher in the summer.
That's a good point. All right, point taken. Sorry, I'm
Anyway.
distracted right now.
As you
Because you
should
have a
be.
Can't tell.
photo. As you have a photo. Now I'm going to be thinking of like the dumbest questions to things we already know. Like, how can I ask a dumb question about
so
something
so
that's...
I'm going to ask this to everyone, including the Chad and Mike and Liz. What is the dumbest question you have that will involve an extraordinarily smart answer?
What? That we have?
Yeah, like, let's say, why are some of the stars blue?
Okay, I don't
okay.
think that's necessarily a dumb question. That's
Okay.
not a dumb
What it-
question.
No,
what
like
it-
a
what
simple
it-
question?
That's a question.
Okay.
That's a
Like a simple
observational
question that needs a more complex answer than...
Yeah. So then let's So let's talk about a stupid question then. That's not just simple, but a good one. But it's a stupid question. That's a really smart answer. Like, why are we alive?
Well, I mean, those are
okay. A simple question that is
That you
a
have an
deep answer.
have an answer to. That you
That's a
have an
deep answer. Okay, by that, then why are some stars blue? Is a simple question that is a deep answer.
But
Like,
Yeah, or why is the sky blue?
okay.
drop it.
Or one of the most famous questions in song, why does the sun shine?
Yeah.
It requires a complex.
Or all right,
sing-along
here's like a
answer.
nuanced question about the sky. All right, so why is the sky blue over there, but it is sort of a kind of a yellowish orange over there, near the sun?
Why do clouds float?
Well, it's because they have more air than. And then they decide, I gotta get rid of my water. And they let it rains. So that's
just
meteorology.
It's cloud pee.
It is cloud pee.
Cloud
And snow is
pee.
cloud dandruff.
All right, Cloud, go pee. Go pee, Cloud.
1, 2.
Two
So
and a half.
when we take Jack for a walk, that's his pee countdown.
Dog Jack, not Follows the Show Jack.
Yes.
Well, I mean, he might do it too,
Yeah.
but we don't actually.
Katie's question, why is Potato the way she is? Katie's cat, who's...
That's a very good question.
lot
Oh,
of
that is a
things.
very nuanced,
Potato.
deep question.
She's been nothing but spoiled her entire life. She
Also,
has no reason to be,
Fun fact, Potato is the Wi-Fi password to my Wi-Fi.
Potato?
Speak, friend, and enter.
Nice. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We do. Yeah.
All right, let's
Something
all
similar.
go to Brandon's and just mooch off his Wi-Fi.
Do it.
I was
All right.
like,
What else we got here in The Hangover?
I don't know. This is your show, man. You wanted to bring up something. Was it the speed of light?
I'm just shocked the
No, that
main
was
show went
Brandon's.
as well as it did. So at this point, I'm just coasting off vibes.
No, I was gonna give you excuse me, more of a hard time about your combative nature.
I was not combative.
You got a little competitive there.
And I had
said it with a
something.
smile.
I had something great I was gonna say.
I just think it's funny how
I've now
like
forgotten.
I ask a question and you're like, you gotta put yourself in historical context.
Yeah.
And one of those questions is like, that could be asked by fucking anybody.
It could be, but it wasn't.
That we know of. But
Yeah.
but also, like we said it here in the Hangover. You know, Aristotle may have just gave some sort of answer, like even to the point where, like the three of us, if we were in the room, like today, we've been like, "Yep, that's it."
Like, all right.
Aristotle, he's got it.
That motherfucker knows.
Yeah.
We need a translator though, because he probably only spoke Greek. I guess maybe.
We
That's
need
a
to
good question.
change that.
What language did he actually speak?
Well, he's
Greek?
from Athens, right?
Well, from 2,500 years ago, like even the Rome didn't always speak Latin, for example. They
Yeah,
went
but I
through
think
4
Greeks-
different conquerors before it got there.
I thought Greek's always been Greek.
I mean, it's all sorry.
They
It's
all
all Greek to me.
yeah.
Somebody hit the light. Hit our light.
Oh, it's Jack. He's playing around.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's gonna be
-4,
-4,
but it's going to be
which is-
17 for us, and that might as well be -4. You know, so how well was Aristotle accepted by people around him? Probably
very
really,
well.
yeah.
He created his own university, and he's the leading figure of thought at the time.
It was like a
And then fucked
celebrity,
up science for
basically.
1,500 years.
Yeah. Well,
So it was well
1,500
accepted.
years, people could have said, "I don't know about that," and made their own theories, but they didn't.
Yeah, as soon as he pops off, people are like, "Oh, he was wrong." You know, they could have said that, but they didn't. So I mean, he was very influential. He did have good ideas.
Extraordinarily.
And it's not like, you know, I mean, he was wrong in a lot of cases.
When you
but-
talk about the shoulders of giants, he was one of the first regular-sized people that then the giants stood on. Well, you can't even say that. I can't even badmouth him that way because he had his hand and thoughts in so many foundations, philosophies, sciences. Really, like you can barely talk about any subject without eventually saying, "Well, the original thought comes back to Aristotle,"
right?
which
right.
is incredible.
So I mean, Newton's ideas, the giants that he was standing on, probably did not include Aristotle, but if
Guarantee
you
they
include,
did.
But if you include, so if you ask Copernicus who he stands on, he probably is going to include Aristotle.
Yeah. Galileo
so-
sure did.
Yeah, and so he was giant. He was a giant. Let's be fair. He is the giant that holds up the other giants.
You can't stand without the ground. And he's the ground.
He's made of earth.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Predominantly earth with a little bit of air or water or whatever.
Well,
it
he
is.
burns too, so fire,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, but it was also the culture of just that open thought and,
So So it's the real legacy of Aristotle is that, you know, kind of I don't know how to say this you know, succinctly or whatever, but he taught us how to think. Doesn't mean that what he thought was right. And his ideas were correct, and actually describe how the universe works, because they're incorrect. But he at least was one of the first people who goes, okay, this is
well, I mean,
how
there's
you
like, I would
should
say
think.
not him individually.
Or how you should question things, I guess is
There
probably.
we go. Yeah, absolutely not. I would not say how to think, but yes, how to question things,
Yeah.
how to put reason to what you see, how to put reason to what you see. I'll go with that.
Yeah. And to arrive at your whatever your thought is, your hypothesis, logically, because at the end of the day, what he was doing is kind of based in logic. It's not saying, okay, you know, Zeus is making lightning happen.
Well, yeah.
But here's another question: How does how does Aristotle explain magnets or lodestones?
Wait. Even modern day scientists cannot explain magnets or tides, so you
Yeah,
can't
we don't
put
know how
that on
those work.
Aristotle.
We don't know how
Oh,
those work.
we're going to equate magnetism and time. Okay.
Oh,
Hey,
Check out our episode on time.
tides.
I said tides.
Oh, that's right,
Thank
tides.
you. Thank you.
Tides. Yeah, I
Always had a
wouldn't say
question.
as individually, because I mean Aristotle, yeah, he's like a one of the most well-known figures from ancient Greece, but you have a lot of contemporaries or within, from, you have Plato and Socrates, but then Pythagoras and the dude who measured
Plato's
the
before
circumference of the
Aristotle, right?
earth.
Plato's before Aristotle.
Is it
Pythagoras
Socrates,
is also
Plato?
before.
But I'm saying in
Yeah.
the period that we associate with as
In those
ancient
200
Greece,
years, yes.
like that is that then just that whole questioning culture of and using logic and reason, and that is the legacy that kind of survives, because then it was people later on look to that and go, oh, let me start thinking about why is this way? Is the Earth really at the center of the solar system? And trying to explain, because Copernicus, he didn't use any math when he was like, oh, the sun's at the center of the solar system, and here's how it works, even though he wasn't 100% correct, of course. But he was basing that off of his eyeball observations and thought, and it wasn't until Galileo had the telescope that then he could visually...
I love the term eyeball observations.
Eyeball observations. And then Kepler, then slapped some math on it.
Yeah, Kepler put the math on it.
And then the combination of Galileo and Kepler's scientific application to that then goes, okay, this is what's happening. This is proof. This is the proof. And then further observations
Newton
and
generalizes
data,
it, and
so
takes it to the next level.
I
mean, it's amazing. And I was just thinking about this for like a brief second. It popped in my head. It's amazing how, all right, in modern science, if somebody was wrong as often as Aristotle was, they would just not be known today.
Well, yeah.
But Aristotle, wrong on a lot of different ideas about how the universe works, but he's remembered, and he is the bedrock for
Well, because his ideas
Newton.
just lasted for so long.
Yeah.
He what?
His ideas just lasted for so long, and so his name came with him.
No, I wouldn't say even that. I mean, again, observationally, it all kind of made sense. Yeah, you can't say just it lasted for so long.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's then once a person's name and their what they've done or whatever like lasts a certain period of time, it sticks into
like the Mike George
historical
theorem of
record.
old fashions. Like you can't beat that.
It just gets stuck in there, and so that name persists because it's continued to be taught and it's continued to, traverse the timeline, if you will. Whereas there's so many other people we don't know even existed because they didn't have the breadth of holding power that say Aristotle does. But also think about it this way: we have a hard enough time as it is when things change. Pluto, people still fucking freaking out about this. Imagine after thousands of years of you thinking things operate, your universe operates one way, and your deity is a thing, and then someone comes around and goes, "Oh, everything you thought you knew, wrong." Everything this one dude thought, wrong. That's just kind of like, no one wants to people want to stick with what is familiar and what's been passed down, traditionally and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's also how it held on for so long, is because it's like people,
I love the story that science writes. Like Pluto, and I would say this in Planetarium shows, and I know I've said it on the podcast, and I've said it to Susanna, my daughter. Pluto, the story of Pluto is a story of science. Aristotle comes up with these ideas on how the universe works. He fits it to the observations he's seeing. As we learn more, our new ideas, our new ways of seeing the universe replaces the older ways that maybe aren't correct. And so Pluto really and truly, no matter how you feel, whether Pluto should be a planet or not, it's irrelevant at the end of the day.
I have thoughts.
Okay, so as we have learned more about the solar system and the objects in it, it forced us to ask the question of what is a planet, and so we came up with the definition. Yeah. As we learn more, as we learn more, it changes how we define things. Look no further than biology. Biology is all about defining things right now. What is biology doing? Nothing. It's just categorizing things.
Shit.
That's all it
all
does.
The biologists.
Yeah. There was a story, a physics story related to that.
Great story.
And so, our dogs are excited for some reason. Anyway, and so, yeah, as we learn more, it changes the way that we define things. It changes the way that we describe the universe and things like that. And Pluto is just a great example of that. And we have found a lot of things out there that are very similar to Pluto, and that aren't really like Mercury to Neptune. And so we changed it. And I mean, at the end of the day, dwarf planet is just a word.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So everybody just needs to kind of get over it.
Yeah, but that's my point. Is some people don't like the change, and so people want 1,500 plus years of Aristotle's views. But I guess in that context of this book of science or story of science, Aristotle's kind of like part of the prologue. Would be part of the prologue of it.
I think he's chapter 1.
No, because it's not science yet. You can't have
Aristotle's chapter 1.
He's the prologue to science. You don't have You don't have even the word science.
All right,
you don't have scientific method. You just have the concept of thinking of explaining the natural world logically, and by natural means. That's the only
question
thing they're doing.
The question for the book is that you're writing. Sure. Is this a modern view of what science is? Or are we going to start with Aristotle and say that you just say some shit and you don't back it up in any kind of way?
Even our good friend Timothy Ferris, who completely shits on Aristotle, still has Aristotle in chapter 1. So I think he's
okay. Well, does he have a prologue? What's in the prologue?
Well, let me find out.
Pythagoras.
Well, number 1's for Carolyn. It's a Shakespeare quote. It's very cute. There's a preface. Okay, a preface. By, of course, Thomas More. How oft we sigh when history's charmed to think that histories lie.
Is he going to read the whole thing?
No. I could if you like.
No, that's all right.
There's Galileo and the Catholic Church involved. Archimedes is in there. It doesn't matter.
Podcast mom goes, well, and there was an emotional context to Pluto, like it got demoted.
It didn't get demoted. It was changed to become king of its categories.
Yeah. It's a good thing, but you did be like, the way they framed it, everybody anthropomorphized
I also different story. I understand the concepts and the reasoning why Pluto, Ceres, and other dwarf planets should be planets. Like, I actually gave into it and think that, yes, they have an argument to it. But I think 600 planets is too many. People won't care. You need to keep it limited.
Yeah.
Well, but it's
like biology. You got to classify these different
things. That goes
things.
in social science. So.
Yeah.
I made people angry with that.
This is just organizing. It's organizational, the naming. It's just organizing things into categories so that we can
just like
biology,
air, fire, aether, and the other one.
And to get back to Jack's
welcome back to the episode.
And to get back to Jack's reference earlier, Captain Planet, he's a hero.
Wait a minute, what?
It was earlier in chat. He made a Captain Planet reference.
That was like the first thing I said.
And
when you said Earth, Wind, Fire.
Oh, okay.
Captain
You were
Planet,
going with Captain
he's a hero.
Okay.
So cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Something else.
This has been a very fun episode debating about the philosophies of science, talking about Aristotle, talking about Galileo, Newton, all the breadth of science, what it means to learn, what it means to not know, what it means to be angry about things from 2,500 years ago. So with that,
I'm really not angry. You guys are just putting that on. I am not, I even laughed at some of this stuff. I'm not angry, but I am now.
So with that, folks, make sure to join us for the next episode of The Shots. Make sure to join us for the next episode of The Cosmos with Cosmos. Stay safe. For the love of God, protest where you can. Vote right. And we will see you next time.
Wait a minute. Vote blue. Don't vote right.
Oh, for the love of God, yeah.
Yes. Vote progressive. Definitely do that. Don't vote right. I know. Even Jack wants you to
know.
know.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you
Cheers.
next time. I gotta find my mouse so I can take this out. And
I see you.
goodbye.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.